Well, hello, it's Jonathan at the Piano Lesson. Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about a tune by Oscar Peterson called Riff Blues. One of the first tunes I ever learned when I started taking jazz piano lessons when I was about 11 or 12 or 13 or something like that. And my teacher gave me a record and I learned it. Amazingly. I always just say that was one of the first tunes I learned. He taught me a lot of tunes. Mr. Rave Tessar, who's still around in New Jersey. And when I had to do a transcription of this tune, I think at one point I tried to transcribe the solo, and that was back in the day when people were still using reel-to-reel tape recorders. And so I put it on the tape recorder and at a higher speed and lowered it. And now you can just go on YouTube and listen to the tune and hear it at different tempos. It's a pretty fast tune. It's about 138 on the metronome. It's a pretty fast tune. But you don't have to play it that fast. It's on a record called The Giants with Joe Pass and Ray Brown. If you notice, by the way, this channel, I don't typically use recordings, other people's recordings, and I don't typically use lots of slick graphics. I like my little blackboard. You can kind of watch things on the keyboard. I just not very good at the other stuff, and I kind of want to keep the lessons contained to my own little world. But I'll show you how it goes. And the interesting thing about this tune is that it's the melodic line is pregnant with ideas. So for people who want to learn to improvise, okay, this little line is really a wellspring of all kinds of variations on the theme. And if you listen to this record, you'll hear, these three guys, Ray Brown and Joe Pass and Oscar Peterson, playing this tune over and over again, but twisting and reshaping the line, going backwards and forwards and inside out. And let's take a look at it. Okay. Here's the head. This is the entire head. Now there's some little nuances in there. I'll play it a little slower. So the melody does encompass like a wide range. You can just, kind of fold it back. You can do stuff like that and keep it contained in one octave if you want. Oscar Peterson tends to use these thirds. That's kind of gives it his sound a certain quality to it, and also it helps to accent things. So instead of doing this, when I first learned it, I learned it kind of like that, single line notes, but it never really sounded quite right, and that's because he does this. He does a third. He does F and A flat, and so I would finger it like 2 and 4, and then 1. Instead of just, you don't hear that F enough. It's much, even down here. Now, when he comes down, he actually plays that note. That took me quite a while to hear that note. I had to play at different speeds. And what you'll notice is when you learn tunes, try to transcribe tunes by ear, there's like a psychoacoustic effect. It kind of plays tricks on you. Your ear plays tricks on you. And so each time I played it at 25%, 50%, 75%, I kept hearing different notes, which is a little bit odd. They weren't actually different, and part of that was also that Joe Pass was playing along. So he was actually playing his own melodies too. Like he was doing this, going up to the E flat. Oscar was doing, and together it would be. which sounds pretty cool. And with that third, so you have that. Here I'm just playing the thumb twice, but I could do it. And then the second part, and then he goes down, and he does that. So that's the basic line. For those of you who may not be familiar with the chords, you know. Sorry, 1, 2, 3. That's the whole tune, and it starts with a pickup. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 and 2 and. Now, when you're really playing up to tempo, he's playing like at 138 on the metronome. It's better to think of it in 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2. But that's neither here nor there right now. So. B flat for 4 counts, E flat 7 for 2 counts, B flat 7 for 2 counts, F7 for 2 counts, B flat 7 for 2 counts. Now there's all kinds of variations again we can put in there as chords, but in this style of music it really sounds better to just kind of play a simple 12-bar, kind of a simple 12-bar blues, a bluesy blues. Not the jazzy blues, but the bluesy blues. Here's some voicings, right? That would be B flat 7 with a 9th and a 13, right? And that is what I call the open position. So B flat, A flat, C, D, G. That's your B flat 13. This would be E flat 13, E flat, D flat, F, G, C, right? And here's F13, F, E flat, G, A, D, right? Now, I don't want to play them all in the same voicing. I want to use what's called voice leading. I want to try to keep my chords in the general proximity of one another. The other way to play that chord, here's B flat 13. Right? So I'm taking these 2 notes and I'm moving them up here, and I get that. So I have this close half step. That's what gives it the sound that it has. That's B flat 13, E flat 13. F13. Here's how I would negotiate that. I would use the open position first. I'm playing the root here just so you can hear the whole chord. These are typically played, these are rootless chords, so the bass player is playing the root. But B flat 13, A flat, C, D, G. Then E flat, I'm using the other voicing. I'm using E flat, G, C, D flat, F. And then maybe for the F, I would use a similar voicing because they're all close together. And this area of the keyboard, those voicings kind of sound the best. They wouldn't sound very good down here. That would be way too low. That would be obnoxious. That sounds fine. Now, this chord actually sounds pretty decent down here. Not so bad. That's getting a little low for my taste. I typically wouldn't voice chords quite that low all the time. That's a nice sounding chord. So maybe you could even kind of play that for the E flat if you want to jump up a bit. difference in that. That's Oscar. That's you wouldn't typically think of that note in a blues. That's another one. That's another one. That's another one going to the D natural. Right? If I go down this low, I tend to prefer to use just a root and a seventh. I find that just works better. That's plenty, because you have all these chord notes in the melody. Okay, let's just take a little bit. If we're going to solo, I mean, you just take little bits and pieces of this thing. Also, Oscar would play a lot of melodies with both hands, 2 octaves apart, very common. And a little tip, if you're playing fast on the keyboard, play real superficial, play real light. Don't try to, be hero and bash out the keys, just, That's why it's nice to play in a well-regulated piano, because the tempo is and it's all detached, all detached. That's kind of the tempo they play at. But you don't have to do it like that. I'm not gonna, probably not. It sounds different in each octave. It sounds, so it's fun. You can make this big run down the keyboard. What did I do there? I just took some of the notes. What is this tune basically? It's basically a minor, well, basically, if I took those notes, it would look like this. Right? It's a minor pentatonic, basically. But you have the C natural in there, and then you have the D natural, which kind of lightens things up. That gives it the major quality. you know. That's why I say jazz is kind of like in the cracks, you know, it's not really major or minor. Let's kind of try to pencil out some of this melody to make it a little easy for you. Oh, that's terrible. I got to get some new markers. I should start a GoFundMe so I can buy some new markers. Everyone has a GoFundMe except me. Okay, so I'll just do treble clef, right? I'm not going to write in a key signature. I'm not going to write in a time signature because it kind of depends. If you're playing real fast, you know, you may want to play it in 2 rather than 4. I'm going to basically write it in 4, but it starts on a pickup, right? So it's A flat, da, dee, da, and actually I'm going to start an octave higher, so I don't have to use so many ledger lines. Let's see. Okay. A flat. I'll move it over here. A flat, F. I'll move the F closer, give myself a little. So those are 2/16, and the bar starts there. There's your B flat, A flat. We do groupings of 4. F, E flat, then D flat, B flat, C, and B flat. So we've got two groups of these 16th notes. Or what did I do? I'm sorry, because that's a C. And then this thing goes again, and then you have so I'm taking. And then I can do it again. So I'm just doing an octave higher just because of where we're writing it on the staff. Well, D flat, D natural, E flat, E natural, F, G, A, B flat. It's a big leap there. Yeah. Okay. So This little ditty kind of repeats again. That's the right, or you could go up to the E flat here, right? You could play an E flat here. D flat, D natural, E flat, E natural, F, G, A, B flat. Okay. Not the best transcription, but you know. Some other alternative voicings, sharp 11 voicings. If you're kind of comping behind someone. I just might, you know, I'll make a couple little notes about the types of variations, because we started with the bluesy blues. And then as the tune progresses, and you'd listen to the record, again, that's the Joe Pass, Ray Brown, Oscar Peterson, called The Giants, and it's the tune's Riff Blues. But if you listen to what they're doing, they're doing substitutions, a lot of chord substitutions. But this is the basic, right? So you could, rather than having 4 bars of B flat, you could have an E flat there, right? And these are all dominant chords, right? Pretty much 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, and you'd change back to B flat. So that's another option, right? 2 bars of E flat, or you could have E diminished. That's possible. And then instead of just B flat, you could have F in the bass. And instead of another B flat, you could have G7. That's the 6th chord. And instead of the F, you could substitute the 2 chord of the key, C minor 7, and then play the F7. So you have 2-5 instead of just 5. And then you have your standard turnaround, B flat, G7, C minor 7, F7, or just C7, F7. You could use dominants, you don't have to use minors. See, I can stand B flat. Or I could change to the E flat. I could change to the E flat there, and that would sound okay. Change to diminished. Change to the B flat with the F in the bass. Now the melody's B flat, so the G7 chord is going to actually turn out to be a sharp 9. Didn't know that, huh? See, you can have very nice happy accidents as you modify the harmony. So there you are. I hope that you can have some fun with that. There's caravans on the same record going at lightning speed. And I'm not sure if anybody really plays the melody right in that tune. It's a complicated melody. Anyway, thank you for Francesco for your comments, and everyone out there listening and watching and tolerating me. So until next time, this is Jonathan at the Piano Lesson, signing off. Have a great summer, and I'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.